Liebe Kolleginnen und Kollegen,
colleagues, media representatives, guests, welcome to the Volkswagen Group and to our design panel. We will talk to interesting persons in a moment, but we will also see cool products. So there will be plenty of exciting things to see on the stage, and we will be fully dedicating ourselves to design with words and products. Design must be authentic. This is what Ferdinand Alexander Porsche said, and it is something that is still true, this statement. Authenticity, credibility, this is what makes the brand, and it's the essence of a brand, and strong design. And we are going to hear more about it in a moment. We will talk to the heads of design of the Volkswagen Group, and we will be talking about the strategy, how we shape our brands and how we develop our brands. And we will also take a look at products, and we will see what is behind a product, how relatively similar products can be made to look so different that they are brands under the same umbrella or roof of the Volkswagen brand, but each one of them authentic. Skoda, Volkswagen, Seat, Cupra, they will all be authentic and distinctive brands. And we will also look at the interplay of technology and design. On the one hand, we have the developers, engineers developing technologies for the people, and the designers who would like to make the whole package so exciting and inspiring that customers will actually be attracted to these cars and will find them aspirational and want to achieve this kind of design and have it in their own hands or garages. We will talk to three heads of design from Volkswagen, from Porsche, and Scout. But we would like to start with a talk, with a panel, and I'd like to welcome our CEO. I'm very happy to welcome him here, and our head of design. So let's welcome, with a warm applause, Oliver Blume and Michael Mauer.
Olli, fangen wir mit dir an.
Olli, let's start with you. It's IAA time once again, and once again it's on design. And for the Volkswagen Group in general and for the brands, design is very important. So design, why is it so important to you? I think first of all, it's fantastic to be here, and thank you very much for showing your interest in design here, because I think it's an exciting topic for discussion, and it has emotional appeal for people. It is an enthusiastic and, really quite exciting topic. Good product design is important. It's essential for the success of a product. We know it from the furniture industry. Just imagine, you might have great chairs or lighting systems that set standards within their industries. These are objects of daily use, be it a toaster or a hairdryer. Just remember what we've seen in the recent past. There were nice examples. Or from the fashion industry, the kinds of trends that were invented in the fashion industry, and the same applies to the automotive industry. So design is still one of the most important purchasing reasons for a product, one of the reasons why a product appeals to people. And to me, good design is a clear design. It requires clarity, which means I don't have to explain what a design stands for because it's clear. And good design is also in a position to convey the spirit of the times and to actually send the spirit of the times and where the products are going to develop, in what direction, because design is always the first thing you identify for a product. The product comes later, so you always have to be ahead of your time if you want to find a design which will be attractive in future. And at the same time, and this is what makes it so difficult, it's not just meeting a certain trend or a spirit of the times, but excellent design is timeless design. And really good design, excellent design, can then also develop into an icon. And this is what, with some of our products in the Volkswagen Group, we actually experience, like the Volkswagen Beetle, or the Golf, or the Audi TT, or the 911. These are such iconic products. And so that is a particular skill of design, developing such works of art. Well, an art, as you said it, if it were simple, everybody could do it. But there are not too many iconic products around. In the Volkswagen group. However, you have quite a few. The Polo by Volkswagen or the ID. Buzz or the Transporter 911. So these are designs which developed over the decades and are also achieve a timeless status.
Im Konzern mit den einzelnen Teams so auszusteuern, dass das möglich ist.
Ja, Michael, wir haben ja gemeinsam da die unheimlich spannende Aufgabe und die Gunst, dass wir so viele fantastische Marken im Volkswagen-Konzern haben, aktuell 13 an der Zahl. Und da gehört es natürlich auch dazu, jede Marke in sich zu entwickeln, aber auch die Differenzierung.
Okay, design means every brand can develop independently, but at the same time we need to distinguish between the various brands. And good design also depends a lot in discipline, the right methodology and the right design strategy. And this is a major task for us to coordinate all of this, to organize this within our group. So first of all, we have these rather technical terms that are important, but of course there's always an important team effort behind all of this. And Michael Mauer, with his design colleagues, they actually managed to build a really powerful team, a team where we can benefit from each other's performance. We meet on a regular basis. All of us contribute inspiring ideas and also learn from the ideas of our colleagues. And a culture has developed where everybody is ready to absorb what the others are saying, like constructive criticism. And also, if somebody disagrees, then you can benefit from it. So different teams can benefit from each other. That's a positive development. And 3 years ago, when we started our new team, we started to apply clear design criteria. And we are working with brand identities, where you can immediately identify a brand. It's unmistakable. So even from a distance, you can say, this is an Audi, this is a Skoda, this is a Volkswagen. Distinctive design elements, which have to be recurring elements. And it's a major task within one brand, with those product identities, to then manage to achieve this differentiation. But this requires discipline. And this is why I started with my answer. Now, this is something that you have to follow up upon. You have to really consistently do it over a period of many years, and only then can you actually transfer these identities to the brand. So this is basically a task of group design together in this team to keep developing this and still to make sure that you maintain your own identity. And Michael Mauer can certainly endorse many of the things you just said. It's always good if the CEO of your group has design knowledge and expertise and also is supportive of design. So Michael, you and your design, how can you make sure that you don't obstruct the various brands, but that you inspire each other or be inspired? So please share a little bit with us. What's your daily work all about? Now, first of all, each and every brand has highly competent design teams that for many, many years have been embracing the identities of the various brands and have a good feel for where the brand stands and what it visualizes. And it would, in terms of time constraints, with a large variety of brands, it would not be possible to be there every day and discuss whether a line should be raised or lowered. So what we've actually done is we said we will try to create a strategic framework as a kind of guideline or orientation. And this was quite a lengthy process. We had great discussions, and I would say the methodology that we applied was also great. Although I'm always saying that methodology is not the decisive thing, but as Oliver just said, but what happened during the work in the teams, all of those discussions when we met and discussed, and also brands that to a certain extent are competitive brands, we had an exchange of ideas, and every brand got a much clearer understanding of what it stands for and what kind of design elements this particular or the particular brand values can be visualized by. So it's a kind of orientation or guideline that we elaborated together, and in each and every team we have highly skilled and competent people, experts, that can translate all of this into reality. And for the Board of Management, it's a possibility, applying these criteria, as Oliver just said, in a very disciplined manner to go through all of the criteria and decide whether, from our point of view, the criteria that we defined were actually met. So good design is going to work on the basis of teamwork, excellence, discipline, and a framework as a guideline or orientation. And this is quite well similar to the next question, because you said design is future-oriented and you work with the possibilities or the potential that you could explore. Tell us more about it.
Now, let me just say we've got a large number of analysis tools that deal with the past, the present, and the future. And the creative ones are not just the designers that can look ahead a great deal. And I'm referring to this as a realm or a space of possibility, because the future is still fluid. We define the future. So we used to have facts from the past, and we have facts from the present time, and then we have possibilities that are offered by the future. So I believe you might really jump ahead and show things that are not even possible today, but still you serve as a source of inspiration and motivation for all others in the company to work in this direction. Designers are also artists, logically enough, in a positive sense, but at the same time you have development and production experts who are also artists in their own realm. But I already said that when I was teasing this discussion, these technologies and then the design, I said, how can you make sure there's no conflict, but you actually combine the two in a wonderful fashion? Now, let me tell you, I believe that I'm still one of those designers who believe form follows function. So I believe it's really like a ping-pong game. And I'm saying technological solutions or solutions from the production space might be challenging us on the one hand in order to adapt and align the design. But on the other hand, this can also inspire us to find completely different solutions and think about what is possible in a completely different realm. And I believe by jumping ahead a great deal, I believe designers are really innovative drivers, saying this might be a shape, this might be a solution we'd love to have. You can't do it right now, but what would be the possibilities that we could use in order to turn this into reality in the future? And specifically for our brands in the group, I believe form and function still are a very important pair, symbiotic pair. Oliver, design is very important anyway, but now let's look us through the glasses of a production expert or a CEO, because here you have the elements of technology and the art of design. How can you combine those two, and how can you orchestrate that across the brands? Now, first of all, let me just add to what Michael just said, because we always need to have the symbiosis between design and technology. I mean, you can have good design, but the whole thing might not be worthwhile from a technology point of view. Then you're not going to be successful, and vice versa, because then you're not going to be able to convey the emotional character of your product. So that's really the art involved here. And here, design can inspire and drive on technology, and also the other way around. Technology can actually further develop design. Now, for me, design plays a major role. And roughly 3 years ago, we started to really challenge our own group and really ask questions. And especially at the product side, we found there were many issues that needed improving. And we actually turned this into a roadmap, a so-called 10-point plan. And products were at the very top. And one of the first issues was that we wanted to really work on the designs. We actually created a methodology in order to make sure there's differentiation between the brands. And then we also set up our tools and the teams. And for me, that's very important, because this way we are able to convey the essence of a brand, because human beings just love brands. And if you buy a certain brand or a specific product, then you'd like to also express yourself with your own personality. or for what you'd like to stand up for. And that is why brands are very important, and we have to clearly define our brands. And it all starts with the design. And that is why, for us, along the route that we embarked on, this design was really one of the most important points. And you're never done with the design, because you keep working on it and you further develop your products. And that is why we're so happy to show the products that we've been able to present to you yesterday and today. We've got 3 fantastic colleagues waiting in the wings that are going to talk about their fantastic products. And I'm really proud of the great teams that formed, great characters, different qualities that all got merged, and the whole thing works as a great team. So the electric car family, Oliver already broached upon this. Now, Michael, various brands, one platform, and the design helps to differentiate the products. So is that like a mountain of work ahead of you or a mountain of opportunities? So please take us along on the journey, the end of which we saw here at the IAA. Now, I believe we as designers always focus on opportunities. So every new technology is something that we try to understand. We're very much interested in finding out what kind of opportunities this offers. Now, take e-mobility. So, of course, you can do away with the engine blocks. So you've got new possibilities in terms of the package. So this is all very exciting from the very start. And then especially once you start developing those platforms, how can you make sure that even despite the technology that sits behind or underneath the skin, how can this really embody the brand values of a brand to our customers? And we actually started working on the basis of the archetype model. And of course, every model is very controversial, or every mock-up is wrong, but nevertheless, most are helpful. And I was saying, dealing with archetypes, key words that we defined, and we used all this in order to create a nice profile for every single brand. And this helps us as designers because it provides us with a framework of orientation. It goes beyond the product. And on this basis, we're able to make sure to imbue each brand with its own identity, standing out against our own brands, but also toward the outside world. So it's one thing to create an attractive design, but it's another to also position the brand accordingly with your design. And this is a process that we went through over the past few years. And for me, such a designer, as a designer, being at the IAA, where you present all those products to the public at large, then this is a true highlight, because we're always ahead of our times. But now finally we're able to see the results and are able to share those with the public. That's a special experience. Now, we talked about design in theory, and I believe we whetted your appetite for what's coming. So Oliver Blume and Michael Mauer, I believe this has been worthwhile. A round of applause. Thank you very much. And now we're going to talk about design hands-on. I already announced Volkswagen, Porsche, and Scout. And the head designer of the Volkswagen brand is going to give it a start. Andy Mint, welcome.
Okay, thank you. First of all, we need a film and a car before we can start. So let's roll it.
We've always been for the many. That's why we innovate for all, for every life and every moment. Reliable when you depend on it. Inspiring for what's ahead. Caring for what matters most, the people. More than ever, we are here to make mobility accessible for every one of us. That is what it means to be Volkswagen.
Ja, da ist er, unser ID Cross.
Right, here it is, the ID Cross. But before I start, first of all, I would like to say thank you to Michael and Ollie. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to show our great products. But before I start with the product, first of all, let me explain to you what or who we are. It's very important because you see this wonderful screen or panel, our superpower. Every superhero has a superpower. We might not be the fastest or aggressive ones, but this is who we are. These are our customers. They are likable. That's us. And this is why we are called Volkswagen, the car for the people. It's really quite appropriate. And this is why we have a chart here with the Volkswagen logo. That's us. We know it. We do it deliberately and analytically. This is exactly how we want to shape ourselves. And that's why we call it the people's brand, the people's car. So that's a great thing. And we need to develop a strong brand on the basis of this. That's our task. So maybe in the past we might have slightly forgotten it, but it's something that we want to now remember once again, like archaeologists. We want to really excavate this feeling once again. And here it says Volkswagen Design DNA. That's what we want to rebuild now. And I think we have an excellent example here on the stage. And this shows you what the result of this work has been. Now, before I start, let me explain our design values to you. And they are based upon or derived from our brand values. Very important to us. Michael already said we have the archetypes as a basis for our development, that the caregiver, that results in stability, the everyday hero, which is likability, our superpower. It's here in the middle. And the first two values, they are actually the kind of homework that we always have to do, being stable and likable. And this is why we have to work particularly on the secret sauce. Now, it's based upon or derived from the idealistic creator. So the secret sauce is something that might have been missing to a certain extent at Volkswagen. And this is something that we are really emphasizing now. And let me explain to you how we do it. Let's go through it quickly. Stability. How can we become stable? Look at the lighthouse. It's a good example. It needs to be solid as a rock in a storm. And this is one example, the C-pillar, which always connects the roof with the body. This creates stable design. The stance of the car, the flat wheel arches, a lean body, this creates a wonderful stance which makes for stability. And also in the interior, we have the horizontal connection, also gives a feeling of security, safety to the people in the car. Likeable. I think it's easy to explain. Everybody knows the Beetle and the Golf. I don't want to talk about it. We need eyes. We need a smile. It needs to be likable. It needs to be nice. And here we want to have, something that's different from all the other brands. We are not aggressive. We are nice. We are likable. And I think this is reflected in our latest designs. So that's the homework that we have to do anyway. This is a given. And many people ask me, now, Andy, what do you mean by secret sauce? What does it mean? And we broke it up into three areas. First of all, a certain sense of humor. We're going to demonstrate it with our vintage modes. There will be a cassette which plays in the car. And I have to explain to my children what a cassette is. So here, well, it's difficult to get started here. And then the golf ball in the rims. Sense of humor. Then the customer expectations. We need to exceed our customers' expectations, even be better. That's the next point, with high quality, high level of quality. That's what we want to deliver. And our interior, which I'm going to show you later, nicely reflects it. Unexpected. That's a hidden sportiness. I don't need to explain a lot if I say Golf GTI. Now, that's a great product. You can use it for your shopping trip, and you can also drive quite fast in it. You can race it. So that's part of the secret sauce, but it's a hidden, a latent kind of sportiness. It's not an athlete. No, it's a great proportion, a great product. So, first of all, these are our design values. That's our foundation. That's what we use for shaping our cars. And now, let me take one step further. Let me talk about our task. At Volkswagen, just imagine, we have almost 50 different global model lines. Now, if I want to create a product identity, then I have to build clusters. And that's what we did. We clustered it. Now, on product identity, we have many customers with different requirements. And then product identity, we clustered this into 3 fields. And up until now, we had 2 fields. And now I can show you the third one. That's the lighthouse. for the beacon for what we're going to do in future. 3 fields. First of all, elegance, the flat floor cars, then performance, the GTI. And then we have the cluster with the robust and sturdy cars. And here, for the first time, we have the ID Cross today. So the full range is covered here now. And this already shows you the 3 cars will be a beacon, a lighthouse for the portfolio that will come in the future. I can imagine that we will design a big brother for this car. We are going to do it, but I cannot tell you about it now, maybe next year. But let's step on it. Elegant. Here, you have the various explanations. This is our mood board, and this was the basis for creating the ID Polo. We already have a show car of it for you. Now, our show cars can also be transferred into production cars, and it's possible. Then the GTI, we showed it 2 years ago in Munich. So that's performance, another design character, and it's a particular type of performance, not aggressive, no aggressive performance, but sustainable performance. So here, the sailing athlete shows you what we actually aspire to achieve, and this is a GTI. We showed it 2 years ago. So this was performance. And robust, another description. So it's a very sophisticated type of robust. It's not hiking boots, no. It's a bit more sophisticated, and the picture really describes quite nicely what we had in mind. And today, for the very first time, we've completed our portfolio. This is exactly what we want to translate into our portfolio in the next few years. So that's the direction in which we want to go. And now, and that's a really nice moment, now I'm going to quickly give you a run through the product. And let me tell you why the strategy and products so nicely tally with each other. That's very important to me. So first of all, seen from the side, we said we need stability. So flared wheel arches and also a lean body. I have the car here with me. It shows you, well, the short overhangs, that it really looks quite sturdy and stable, sitting there on its wheels. And if I take a look at the front, you can see the likability, the likable element. It's clearly reflected in the face, in the eyes, and also the rising lines are upbeat, optimistic, positive. This is why our new design direction is called Pure Positive, because it not only describes a form or shape, pure positive, but it also describes a mindset, optimism, upright, upbeat, and positive look to the future, positive attitude of the future. So here, this is what we've done. Well, really quite optimistic eyes that support our design. And the rear section, also very stable. For details, for instance, taillights, they are divided up in such a way that we always have a clean graphic design. The rear lid line goes all the way across it, and it's always stable and strong elements which are combined here. And another thing that was important to us, it's part of the secret sauce. A human eye is not just a sticker. It's not flat. It's not 2D. It's a depth 3D. Eyes, they have a certain depth to them. And that's what we are showing here. It's even animated. When you switch on the turn indicator, it doesn't go from right to left. It goes from the inside to the outside. It looks like a heartbeat. And that's something you can see on the show car. Then let me go on from here. And that's a great thing. Think about it. It's 4 meters and 16 centimeters. It's a very compact car. Easy to park, but it looks really quite big. Upright, offering a lot of space. So everything is really quite vertical, and the window graphics are all the way through it. The design elements are reminiscent of the bus early days of Volkswagen. But not only this, it also demonstrates that it's very spacious on the inside. And again, secret sauce, lots of surprises. In this car, 440 liters of luggage space, which is huge, just one indication. And then high value, high quality. And that's also part of our so-called secret sauce. We have simple, affordable plastic parts, which upgraded by the treatment they get, the finish they get, and they actually impart a much more refined quality to the design. It's a great way to make your cars more successful. Now, let's take a look at the interior. I promised you that we need stability, the horizontal connections. And you can see that the door panel smoothly flows into the dash. dashboard. And it's smooth padding, just like a modern living room. And this imparts a feeling of stability. You can see it here in the sketch, which is superimposed upon it. Now the horizontal lines go all the way from the doors to the dashboard. And this makes or gives the interior much spacious feeling. It looks much larger than it actually is. And then high quality is also reflected in the choice of materials, where we are reducing the number of plastic parts, replacing them by integrating high-quality materials into the interior. What you can see nicely here, the button strip, which is going to look exactly the same. The switches always look the same in every Volkswagen. It's always going to be the same buttons and switches, so that you know exactly what to press in a Volkswagen, because it's identical for all cars. And here an overlay picture to demonstrate what I'm saying. And next picture, please. Okay, here, let's zoom into it once again. And in the details, you can see that the buttons here, these are physical buttons, and the buttons on the steering wheel are also tangible and physical. You don't have to swipe anything anymore. We have very stable operation, sturdy, stable operation, and the customer satisfaction values will definitely be as good as they used to be with those sturdy and physical buttons. This is how you do a proper Volkswagen. A couple of detailed pictures of the interior now. In the media hub, we have the show car, so the sibling, the brother with the correct interior, and you can see that high-quality materials were chosen, and it's not an empty promise. It's something we are going to also introduce on production cars, and you'll find them in the ID Polo already, and I think that should be a major surprise. A lot of secret sauce will go into it. Customers will really be surprised by the high quality of the materials. Very important point. So that's us. This is exactly what Volkswagen stands for. This is our superpower. From our customers, well, we analyze our customers, we respond to their feedback, we do our homework very diligently so that we can create such great products. I love this picture. It gives me goosebumps because that's us. It's our superpower. And now, just one more thing. We brought something for you, Stefan.
Yeah, you have it in your hands.
You have it in your hands. It's a book that we created together with RAMP. I saw Michael in the audience. Thank you for the cooperation. It's a book about us. And it's sensational, this book, and everything that I refer to is in the book, and everybody can take one of those books. It's here behind the wall. We are going to hand out those books to you. We have plenty of books for you. Everybody can take a copy. Well, quite a few of them are available. You just have to leaf through it and you can feel what I mean. It's very simple. And it's going to jog your memory. It's going to show you how Volkswagen design works. Okay, right. This is the end of my presentation. Enjoy the book. Thank you. Right. And now I'd like to hand over to Michael, but I think we are going to see a film in a car before that.
Yeah, the new 911 Turbo. Let me come back to a few more aspects in the design process before I'm going to share with you the details of this car. And very much like Andy, I'm going to talk about our design principles. Right. Now, let me tell you, there are always two pillars in our process. First of all, there's brand identity. We need to make sure that you can say, as Oliver said before, even at a distance, you can tell this is a Porsche, thanks to its brand identity. So brand identity is very important to us. And in a second layer, this is how we refer to it, we are able to imbue every single car with its own product identity. So in this case, this is the 911 product identity. Now, we defined a large number of elements there, and this benefit of working like that also consists in the fact that every single car is getting its own character, its own identity. But this also helps us to keep the design language fresh, because for every single new product, you are called upon to think about new elements. Now, of course, there's something that is very specific that comes in here, and this is the 911 product family. And within this family, the Turbo has got its own identity, the 911 Turbo identity. Basically, it's a model series within the model series. Now, many of those elements that characterize this vehicle significantly and clearly as a Turbo have developed over the years. During our panel talk, we were discussing the question how design and technology deal with each other. So the first Turbo with the massive rear spoiler, then the wide body of the Turbo. So there are many different elements with the technical background which then developed further, or have developed further over the course of years. And here, specifically, especially when you take a look at from the rear, then these are the elements of this Turbo. And let me say, of course, this is the view that most of you are going to see from this car. You're going to see it from the rear. And it's really the rear wing of the first Turbo that also was controversial in terms of its design, but there was a technical background to it because we have a turbo-wide body. Now, for us at the design department, this is like a person wearing a T-shirt that is one size too small, and you can see it quite nicely, especially if we just stick to those two elements. And this is something that is also offered by the new Turbo. It's wider than the base on both sides, and of course it also comes with the rear spoiler, and I'm very happy to see that this is a little more subtly integrated here. But of course it can do a great deal in terms of technology, much more than the predecessor. Now let me briefly talk about the new Turbo and explain what it is about. What is very important to me in this connection is that the new Turbo 911 is an icon all by itself. It's the icon of the icons. And I'm firmly convinced that you shouldn't revolutionize its design or develop it further. So the icon in its key elements should be fine-tuned even more. Now let's take a short glance at individual elements. At the rear end, you can see the spoiler, but especially the rear apron in the lower area, on the sides, some new elements that clearly underline this Turbo identity. Then the air scoop on the side, which you all are aware of, then the Turbo rims, and at the front end, this is, of course, something where technology and design go together. That's adaptive aerodynamics with those lamellae here. And a small but very important detail, which I find, which of course will also make itself felt in the interior. This is the turbinite hue, because that's a very specific paint that has been developed for the Turbo, called turbinite. And as far as I know, the beauty here is that this is something that is a paint, a hue that has been named after the brand. And this is something that happens for the first time. So this name has now been included in the Pantone color range. So as I said, the icon has been fine-tuned clearly once again. And of course, here again, for this car, we offer a rich range of customization options, be it the paint you'd like to have. We've got more than 100 exterior hues. Then carbon is used. Also in the rims, this also helps us to improve aerodynamics there. Exclusive tail lights, all these things. This is what we stand for at Porsche. Now, let me very briefly come back to the design principles once again. Andy already mentioned those before. I already told you we are aligned or oriented towards the archetypical model, and you might want to discuss whether or not this makes sense, but nevertheless, it's helped us to come up with an even clearer picture of what we believe the Porsche brand stands for and what it embodies. So there's the hero that stands for precision and concentration and focus, with a very clear goal ahead. So focus is the key word, the buzzword here. Then there's the rebel that stands for uniqueness, the unexpected, non-conformity, and this leads to tension time and again. So it's the rear spoiler, very much like with the first generation. Many of you liked it. Very few didn't really like it that much, but still, it used to be a part that inspired many discussions. And of course, the founder of our company, the creator, already was mentioned. And he said that honest, authentic design, innovative, visionary, but always with a clear-cut purpose in view. So this is what we're standing here, and all those generations of the Porsche 911 Turbo stand for this. Now, let's take a short glance at the archetypical elements of the car. We're saying the hero, the supremacy, is embodied here. So everything stands for the iconic character and the iconic power, and the design tells you how this power is translated onto the road. You can feel the focus, because we want to make performance an experience and tangible. So we have always tried to push the limits. This is also a symbol of this non-conformities, and there's a great deal of tension in the design. And as I mentioned, the rear spoiler and the internal discussions that we always have there are a wonderful example of what I just described. And then, of course, there's this creator theme. That's the ultimate expression of this innovative engineering and design culture. All these technical requirements need to be met here. Now, let me just take a look at the side panel at the rear. And we've been able to bring in the creative spirits from the production side, so as to come up with such an innovative combination of form and function. And I think it's always great to have a super sports car that is able to also be not that loud. So thank you very much for your kind attention. Now I'd like to hand over to Chris Benjamin. He's going to explain the brand Scout to you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Very happy to be here with you. Very happy to present Scout to you and tell you a little bit more about what we do as a company, what we stand for, and the things that are important to us as a brand. We start, as the other brands do, with our archetypes. We start with the explorer, with the rebel, and with the everyday hero. And we take those and we combine those into our design principles, and we use those to create the vision of the vehicle. Start with the Explorer. The Explorer translates itself into the versatile multi-tool because it is there to help you accomplish any task that you need to accomplish. It is there to help you accomplish things faster, easier, better. The Rebel transforms itself into the bold icon because you want to stand out whether you're against the competition or just out in the wild as a scout. And then the everyday hero, always there for the sake of their community, for the sake of their loved ones, the helpful companion, always there to do the right thing for those around them. And the point of all of that is because we are building something. We're building the connection machine. The connection machine is there to connect so many parts of our lives, to connect heritage with ingenuity, to connect people with the outdoors, to connect work and play. The driver, of course, with the vehicle, and then for us to connect directly with our customers. That connection to our community, to those around us, is what's so important about our brand. We always talk about Scout as a startup with heritage. And that's such a unique thing to be in the industry because we have this speed of a startup, but we have the strength, the support, the know-how, the expertise of the Volkswagen Group behind us. And that creates a very special position for us to be in. But the heritage part, you know, Scout was alive in the 60s and the 70s, and it is what allows us to create this family portrait. So you have the original Scout 80, the Scout 2, and then the current Scout that we've created. And it really is that special connection from the past to the present that really makes our community strong. Speaking of community, this letter that you see up on the screen was sent to me by the author of this book, John Clancy. It was after our reveal event in October, and he just wrote me this letter to say how pleased he was that we've included the community all the way along, that we have embraced the OGs, asked them for their opinions, and we've done things in a way that is authentic to the brand, so that the ones that created the brand in the first place can look at what we're doing and recognize it as something special. But how does this show up in our current product? How do we make this come alive in the vehicles? We start, of course, with the iconic proportions. You start with a super short front overhang, all of the weight shifted to the rear. You get this very powerful stance in side view. It's undeniable. When you rotate that around to the front, you see the same thing. The cabin is very taut, but you get these very broad shoulders. The ground clearance is unmistakable. It really does come alive on the street. And then you combine both of those, the side view and the rear view, and you look at the bold graphics and how those come across. So first, the DLO, the daylight opening, as we call it, is reminiscent of the Scout 2, that little kick up at the rear. And then from the front and rear, the very charismatic, very bold front and rear masks, which create a nice stage for the technology. Thinking about how the front of the vehicle looks, we wanted to make sure that it had a face that was recognizable. So we start, as I mentioned, with the rear mask and the front mask. We have the DRL, this horizontal light signature that wraps all the way around the vehicle. So you see it in the front, you see it in the rear, and it's almost like one imaginary line, like the equator wraps around the Earth. It's a grounding line. It shapes the vehicle. It adds balance to the entire vehicle. As you move from the front of the vehicle over to the rear, if you see the pickup truck, the mask on the rear of the pickup truck is bold, it's strong. It's a tool. It's meant to have a boldness to it, but it's not screaming at you. It's not shouting at you. And then the form language. If you see the side view up here on the left, it's very clean. There are only 2 lines on the side of the pickup truck. The lower line, which is a grounding line, and it connects the front and rear. And then just one little flick on the pickup bed. It was a nod to the Scout 80. And when we talked about that in our reveal event, the OGs in the crowd went wild because they knew exactly what it was there for. And that's the thing that's important to us, is connecting that heritage from the original vehicles. Now, you all recognize these. You've seen them in the press. You've seen them on our website, on Instagram. We had a reveal event back in October. This was the Traveler and the Terra as we showed them back then. The colors inspired by the first and the last Scout. So a very powerful message there. But today, I'm going to share with you the latest iteration of the Terra, and I want you to enjoy it. But first, take a look at this film. So, of course, the Americans brought a monster truck to Germany. It really is a passion project for us. This latest iteration of the Terra, we did a few things with this one that we wanted to share. We wanted to show the possibilities of how you could accessorize the vehicle. So a very strong side step here, 37-inch tires sitting on 18-inch steelies. In the front of the vehicle, we have a bull bar, very strong in case some of your friends in other vehicles get stuck, you can pull them out. And then on the roof, we've got the roof rack with a basket, the forward-facing lights, and then the chase lights in the rear. One of the coolest things is the color. We call it silo, green metallic. And it is inspired by our heritage. It's inspired by agriculture. So imagine you're inside of a silo, and the corn is reflecting onto the steel of the side of the silo. That's the color you see. That's where it comes from. And we find inspiration everywhere around us, all over the place, even when we're not on the ground. Scout is synonymous with plaid, and it's easy to do on the inside of the vehicle. There's so many opportunities, so many places you can do it. But how would you show it on the outside? When you fly in a plane, and actually when I was flying into Munich on Saturday, when you are flying over crops, that's what you see. And I call that Earth's plaid. So we were inspired by that, and we used that to design and define the harvester logo that you find on the side of the vehicle. So when you get the range extender, you get the harvester, we have the Earth's plaid logo on there, and essentially it is a crop of fields. We have a small combine or a harvester removing one row of crops, but that's just the fun that the design team has with all of these little details in the vehicle. Of course, the rest of you out here can't see the inside, so I've got some images for you. The first thing you'll notice is the strength of the instrument panel, very horizontal. The upper brow and the lower frame the technology on the inside. And then one other thing that we did that is reminiscent of the heritage of the vehicle is thinking about the Scout 2, that deep undercut of the brow. And we did it in a cool way that allows us to have the screens floating through there. So you see this deep undercut, you see the hemp wood coming out from underneath it, and you get that very cool sensation from it. And then bringing in the terracotta color on the leather, bringing that across the rest of the interior, across the doors, across the top of the instrument panel, we created something that is warm and light and brings a human touch to the interior, which is very grounding. And then you move along the doors and you see that pattern that you found on the seats that's also in the doors. It's a plaid pattern. And what we do is we reimagine the heritage. And so the plaid isn't showing up as traditional plaid, but we're using the perforation on the seats and on the doors to create that same pattern. And then, of course, we wanted to make sure that the interior was very strong, very usable. So these very rugged, very tactile switches that you'll find throughout. On the HVAC, for example, in the center of the vehicle, on the overhead, the off-road switches that are specifically for that function, these very heavy-duty toggles. Even on the steering wheel, making sure that even the driver is in command with very easy to use, very easy to find controls. And then even for the passengers, a volume knob on the side of the screen that resembles the chronograph on a watch, because designers also have a thing for watches, if you didn't know that. And then we could have done a digital compass like everyone else, but that's boring. Why do that? So we did a physical compass because we could. And also, as a Scout, you want things to be manual. You want them to be reliable. And you want to be able to find your way no matter where you are in the world. And after the compass, come back outside the vehicle, and we want to talk about what we say is the business end of the vehicle. Now, if you look at the rear of the vehicle on the image up here, we've got a full 5.5-foot bed, and we thought about how it's used, how people use it in their everyday life, and then we thought about something else. How do people incorporate vehicles into their life, into their lifestyle? And that's when you think about the American garage. The American garage is symbolic of so many things. Hell, Apple was started in an American garage. But that's where the tinkerers, the makers, the doers, have their fun. It's where they teach their children how to fix their cars. It's where they create memories. And what we also have, you'll see in the image, in the lower left, we have a series of Scout boxes. And one of those Scout boxes is in here on the back of the pickup truck. And what we did was we also created a set of tools because just doing the vehicle wasn't enough. So what we actually have in here is a full set of tools, shovel head, heavy duty, so you can take it, dig a hole, do whatever you need to do with it, but it really does create a full 360 experience for the users. And then thinking about how people live, we also created a full set of those tools. So thinking about the cam locks, thinking about having a lug wrench, and really having all of the things in place that you need to do the things that you need to do. But at the end of the day, what is this all for? What is it all about? It's really about this. It's about finding that time with your loved ones, having a good time, having your light with you, and living your life and being the absolute best scout that you can be. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this inspiring presentation. Vielen Dank an Chris Benjamin, Scout natürlich.
Thank you very much to Chris Benjamin, Michael Maurer for Porsche, Benjamin for Scout, and now it's your turn. Guests, colleagues, please, I'd like to ask my colleagues to join us up here on the stage. The cars are coming back onto the stage, and then you can have your interviews and take some photos. So thank you very much for coming here, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you very much.